Reading from the Holy Gospel according to Mark. The apostles returned from their mission. They gathered around Jesus and told him all that they had done and taught. He said to them, "Come away to a deserted place all by yourselves and rest a while." For many were coming and going, they had no leisure even to eat. And they went away in the boat to a deserted place by themselves. Now many saw them going and recognized them. And they hurried there on foot from all the towns and arrived ahead of them. As Jesus went ashore, he saw a great crowd, and he had compassion for them, because they were like sheep without a shepherd. And he began to teach them many things. The Gospel of the Lord. Recently, I saw an interview of this man. He looked like a celebrity, but since I don't watch TV, I don't really know who he is. And basically, he was talking about his experience when he was in grade 1, a lesson that he's learned that he never forgot. It always stayed with him. And it was a lesson on happiness. So one day when he was in grade 1, his teacher called all the students out into the hallway and then introduced all these balloons with people's names on them. And he says, "I'm going to give you 1 minute. The exercise is for all of you to find the balloon with your name on it. Go." And as you can see, the kids were all like screaming and then trying to look for a balloon. And when they found one that wasn't their name, they threw it in the air and kept on doing that, right? So basically a minute has passed and nobody found their balloons. And then the teacher goes, "I'm going to give you another exercise, but the same exercise but a different method. What I'd like you to do is, this time I would like you to grab one, the first one, and then bring it to the person whose name is on it. You have 1 minute. Go." Well, in 30 seconds, everybody found their balloons. The lesson on finding the balloon or bringing the balloon to whose name was written on it is exactly how happiness works. If you are trying to find happiness, pushing people out of the way, you get out of my way because I am in search of my happiness, well, none of us are going to find it. But when we bring happiness to others, happiness will come to us. Jesus taught his disciples how to serve God is to serve our neighbor. Jesus told his disciples last Sunday, "Go and preach the good news, drive out demons, heal the sick." That's exactly what the disciples had done. And so effective they were in their ministry because Jesus has power over sicknesses, or illnesses, and the demons. And just by invoking the name of Christ, we have disciples were given authority over. So it worked. They were very happy. And then today, in the gospel today, Jesus told his disciples to come away in a while. What is missing between these two pieces is Jesus loses his second cousin, John the Baptist. John the Baptist is beheaded and he's dead. And as a result, Jesus wanted time alone with his trusted friends, his disciples, to grieve. We all need to grieve. And when we do, we want to be surrounded by people that we love and we can trust. In as much as Jesus wants to spend time with all of us, we also need that time as well. So disciples needed to spend that time with Jesus. And same thing with us. In the first reading, we are told that there are good shepherds and the bad shepherds. Basically, shepherds in the Old Testament meant kings. There are bad kings and good kings. And later on, we use shepherd to talk about religious authorities. And now, priests and bishops are the shepherds. How did some kings become good and bad? All depends on whom they trusted. Good kings were the ones that trusted in God. And despite the fact that, army that were much, much stronger than them were about to invade, God says, "Don't worry, I'm going to deliver you. Go and pray, and this is what you're to do." When they followed the instruction, a couple of times when, were outnumbered, they didn't even have to engage in a fight, and they won. God fought the battle for them. But what happens to a bad shepherd is bad kings were that instead of turning to the Lord, they turned to human agents. So instead of listening to God, they turned to the Assyrians, the Babylonians, and the Egyptians. They said, no, I'm not going to tempt the Lord. I've got other options, And that's what they did. They turned to human agents, and also they introduced devil worship by marrying into foreign wives, queens who brought devil worship. And then they became corrupted, turned away from the Lord, and the same thing happened with all the people. And the whole nation fell apart, and people would go into exiles. That's what happened. What happened to these kings could also happen to all of us. Instead of turning to the Lord, when we try to be self-reliant, and when we turn to what in the field of psychology calls it maladaptive behavior, we're not really dealing with the issue, but we're kind of like kicking the can down the road. We are using dysfunctional coping mechanism to not directly deal with the issue, but making it worse. So what happens when we are stressed or are depressed and we have all these things that afflict us? Instead of turning to the Lord and try to deal with the issues at hand, turning into human relationships, alcohol, drugs, and all these things. These don't really solve the problem. They only help to mute, so to speak, to be self-soothing, making it much worse. The same issues, stress, afflictions that afflicts all of us afflicted the saints as well. So the very same condition that makes some people who turn to the wrong things and makes them alcoholics, drug abusers, and addicts, turned saints holy and made them into saints because they relied on God. In the same way, whatever struggles that we go through, rather than trying to deal with it ourselves or using maladaptive behavior, let us turn to the Lord. Let us turn to the Lord in humility and prayer, because whatever we bring to God, God is more than capable of helping to resolve, helping to deliver us from temptations, and help us overcome our struggles.